Bonjour, hello. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for CFA's 87th Annual General Meeting. And how absolutely wonderful to be back together after 2 years of virtual. Some people are taller than I thought, and some people are shorter than I thought. I don't know where I fit in people's eyes, but I'm pretty sure it's not taller. This year, we've had a record number of delegates registered to be here in person. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's living with COVID, and we're going to do it with gusto. First, I do want to take a moment, and I want to acknowledge our CFA Annual General Meeting sponsors. We have a list of 10. We have Food Health and Consumer Products of Canada, Canadian Canola Growers Association, Canadian Produce Marketing Association, CN Rail, Syngenta, Bromwich and Smith, Farms, Spirits Canada, Ferrero Rocher, and utensil.ca. We thank all of our sponsors for their support and dedication to the CFA and to Canadian agriculture. I also want to thank all of our CFA corporate leaders and our corporate partner for their continued support. Now, a bit of housekeeping in regard to the health and safety protocols for this event. We ask everyone, please follow masking protocols. So unless you're eating or drinking, please have your mask on. And please maintain social distancing where you can by keeping 6 feet apart. How many zucchinis is that? I've seen it in different places. It's like 28 zucchinis from my garden. So keeping 6 feet apart from others at all times. And one final note before I begin. Many of you may have noticed a new and possibly familiar face at the CFA table, Ann Boswell. Ann is the new interim executive director at CFA for the next month and a half, and we're happy to have her on board to help out during CFA's busiest time of year. Welcome, Ann. This year's AGM theme is Finding Sustainable Solutions in Uncertain Times. Before touching on some of the challenges Canadian producers have been facing, I want to take a moment to recognize the horrible situation in the Ukraine. Sorry. The uncertainty and danger Ukrainians are facing in this very moment is unimaginable. The well-being and safety of the Ukrainian people and farming community weighs heavy on our hearts. And here, farmers across Canada have been dealing with their very own real uncertainty over the past few years, across a wide range of factors. COVID, of course, is something that has affected us all in different ways. Canadian farmers who rely on outside labor have experienced an increasing amount of unpredictability over the past few years and have had to grapple with concerns of will they be able to get enough labor to plant, cultivate, harvest, grade, and ship crops to market. Farmers continue to face the pressure and stress of keeping staff safe during this pandemic, and this pandemic seems to continuously throw curveballs at us. Farmers in the prairies have endured the worst drought in 70 years, leaving a hay shortage that has made it difficult or next to impossible to feed animals. Farmers in British Columbia were hit with consecutive floods that had absolutely devastating and far-reaching impacts. Farmers in Prince Edward Island have been blindsided by the loss of access to the significant and long-standing USA mainland fresh and seed potato markets. Supply chain issues have dramatically increased the costs of farming across the board, making everything far more expensive and not necessarily even available. On top of all of these burdens, farmers are now confronted with climate change. We are expected to grow safe, affordable food while dealing with the brunt of unpredictable weather. Simultaneously, we are expected to protect and enrich our soils with ever-increasing scrutiny, regulations, cost, and consumer demands. And yet, through all of this, farmers continue to show incredible strength and resilience. There is no shame in admitting the past years have been tough. And I'm sure many of us have carried stress beyond reason more than a few times. Yes, as an essential industry, we are persevering and we are navigating our way through these troubled waters. But remember, don't lose sight of your personal well-being. Farming may be in most of our blood or DNA, but at the same time, each of us is more than just our farm. That's why our theme, Finding Sustainable Solutions in Uncertain Times, is so important. Although I may have started on a grim note, sorry about that, I believe it is only by acknowledging our struggles and problems that we can face them head on and overcome them. Because every problem has a solution, even the multifaceted, complex problems farmers face today. In 2021, agriculture and agri-food employed 1 in 9 Canadians and contributed $139 billion to Canada's GDP. Our sector has been identified by government and leading financial institutions as being poised for explosive growth if the right investments, policies, and infrastructure are put in place. Canadian agriculture is in a unique position when it comes to long-term sustainability and growth. While most industries can only hope to curb their emissions, agriculture has the potential to be a natural climate solutions provider and net carbon sink. With technologies and practices, we can trap carbon in the soil, keeping it out of the atmosphere and improving our soil health. Other innovations have astounding potential, like livestock feed additives that have been proven to reduce cattle methane by more than 50%. I believe 2022 will be the year that we find sustainable solutions in uncertain times. I believe our industry will be a shining example of how a sector can grow in a truly sustainable manner, not only environmentally, but also socially and financially. Sustainable growth in agriculture can be a win-win for both farmers and society, providing food for a growing world population while strengthening the land we use for the generations to come and by reducing emissions overall. Thank you for joining us today and taking part in this wonderful conference, which we will delve into many of the topics I've covered. I hope we all come out of this energized and ready to find the solutions. And now I'd like to present to you our opening video for the AGM, talking about our Hay West initiative.